We are rolling.
Killer music.
Killer music. Yeah.
Welcome back. Vitality Check is back. I'm not sure which episode this is, but
It's the episode of. I know
no,
the
no.
title.
Well,
Oh, which number?
I know the title.
Number,
I don't
yeah.
know the number.
Number. Yeah, depends on when we decide to release this one.
Exactly.
Whether what's up in the queue, what's next. But
yeah, we were talking about stuff. What we're gonna do today, and then we figured one of the biggest topics is always in terms of like how perception molds our reality. Like the quite often people coming into the clinic. Suffering from discomfort, pains, and different things. All these resistances that we encounter in life, and so we wanted to kind of talk today about like, well, what's behind all that? Like, what creates all that? Is it random? Is it stuff that we're actually creating ourselves and we're not aware of it? So that's the rabbit hole we're gonna go down today. So thank God Jay's here. He'd be so confused right now.
Thank goodness he's not here. You mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jason is still. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe, hopefully, applying some sunscreen, right? Because he's
well. There's a very good chance he's either in shade,
yes,
or wearing a lot of clothing right now.
Yeah, covered up
for sure.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, when you're pale, that's what happens. You got to keep it real.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah.
We're excited to see you, buddy.
Excited to have him back for sure. I strategically planned being away for the first 2 days he's back.
Yes. Kevin he heard Jay was coming back and he booked another vacation.
Like, I'm not sure if that was enough time to actually recoup and reset. And but anyways, it should be okay.
Yeah, he might come back a little less anxious.
Maybe. You never know.
Hopefully.
Maybe something happened over there, some big event.
Maybe. We'll see. We miss you, buddy.
We'll make him do a psych eval when he comes back.
Yeah, we miss you, buddy.
Yeah.
Maybe he won't come back.
Maybe he quit.
Maybe he quit. He hasn't told us yet.
Yeah, and he's retired.
Yeah. Retired Jay. I'd love to see retired Jay. One day we will.
Yeah. Definitely shoveling, doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Long list of
to-do list
demands.
Mm-hmm. All right, back on topic. We miss you, buddy.
Well, that's what happens.
We love you.
When you're not here, you get it.
Yeah.
That's
Jay,
just the way it works.
Tends to, Well, he's not here to defend himself.
He's not. So that's why it's perfect.
Yeah.
Although.
Perception versus reality, and then Kevin quickly corrected me and said perception is reality. So, let's dive deep into this. This is actually a really cool topic because it does come up frequent and often in therapy, right? In clinic.
Should that not be higher?
I mean, that's just our sound effects, so we're okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's not the recording?
No, that's the sound effects. So,
awesome.
Yeah, we have a cool new board mixer that we're still getting used to, and with some fun.
God, we're so technical.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's coming. Perception is reality. Yep. So this is a cool one because I use this analogy often with patients, right? So sometimes if I'm explaining how this concept falls into place, I always allude to or make the analogy of, your world, your environment is casting or molding how you show up every day, both internally and externally. And if you've experienced a broken bone before, or you've, had maybe a kid who's broken a leg or an arm or whatever, right? We can all understand you've seen cast. A cast is something they put on to help the bone set in a specific way, right? When you're young, usually you can get away with just a cast, and as you're older, sometimes you need pins and whatnot to help the bone heal and mold it in a certain way. Well, when we expand beyond that analogy into our lives, well, your environment, so your physical environment, the way you sit, the way you stand, the way you sleep, right? Over time, it's basically just passive tension and adaptation over time.
Traumas,
So then, yeah, then
stressors.
that's the physical level, right? And then we add to that, right? Because we're not just physical beings, right? We're
Yeah,
not just a car, right? I use the car analogy often, but we aren't just a car that's, exposed to
mechanical.
mechanical
Yeah,
aspects of life. We do have the biomechanical aspects of life because we live on multi planes, but we also have the mental and emotional. So,
yeah,
Kevin, you just said stress, the
yeah.
life you live, experiences, and then this is the most important thing. It's how you perceive those
That's right.
experiences and how they shape your inner and outer world, right?
Right.
So,
A lot of research in all this. So for many many years, like so, epigenetics is the science of that. Is the effect of our environment in all its capacity of whether it's the perception of how you think things work from a young age due to the circumstances you've been living
yes.
through family, friends, a life circumstance, things like that, have molded you or casted you into a very particular frame of perception, which then dictates how you see life and how you move through life, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, like if we give a basic example, like if someone going through so many different traumas of being fearful of things and that the exterior world is very difficult and that all these things have happened to them, quite often fall into a more controlling behavior, a perception that anything at any given moment can go wrong. Well, imagine the impact of that on your nervous system
Yeah, on your physiology.
and on
Exactly.
your physiology, which will then have an impact on your physical matter, and then you feeling a very particular way body wise, right? So the where it gets difficult is because quite often people get stuck in the paradigm of like what's happening to me out in the outside world is out of my control, when in
Mm-hmm.
reality it's what
So,
we've created.
so that's yeah, that's the next. I guess the next segue from perception is reality, right? So,
Yeah,
the idea that you are a victim of the circumstances
right,
and you
correct.
have no control
Yes.
into what is being presented, the challenges you're being presented with, right? So the
Yeah.
situation
Mm-hmm.
or and we're all guilty of this, right? And just, you can catch yourself sometimes, oh, I guess that's just the way it is, or
Yeah.
this stuff always happens to me, or um,
Mm-hmm. You just keep feeding it.
feeding it, right? So
Yeah,
so
exactly.
therein lies the loop, right?
What
Because you're
and you're nailing it. Like it is probably the most difficult thing to one accept and then actually change, because to actually admit that okay, so you're saying the way I've been speaking to myself, the way I've perceived what's going on the outside is due to all the circumstances that I've been in forever since I was a young child, um, is now creating the reality that I'm in now.
mhm.
You know, and sometimes people have a hard time seeing this or accepting that because number one, it's a tremendous amount of responsibility to then say, I'm creating all this shit around me.
Yes.
Like, so, but then if they really, I always do that exercise with people, like do something very basic. Like if you see someone that, let's say, has an anger problem, right?
Hmm.
Listen to that person speak.
The language they're using.
Constantly saying like it's this guy did this to me and then my boss is this and they're constantly speaking as if they're feeding this constant rage of like
Feeding the fuel, or they're
so
feeding fuel to the fire that,
exactly.
we all have these
That's right.
the potential to have these
Yeah.
fires, right? But
So
yeah,
you're it's like you're creating your own misery.
yeah,
So to stop, notice that, which we'll get into some basic technique on. Well, how do you shift out of this? Like,
yeah.
how do you not be a victim and then start creating something different? And we'll get into why that's hard, and we'll get into well, like what are some solutions to kind of help you along through that path. But
Actually, I got something.
yeah,
You just said the word victim, and this is
yep,
something that comes up often, especially in our line of work. Well, it's and I think it's been marketed to us and programmed to us because there's a big business behind this, right? So it's the idea that you are, and you said it before with the epigenetics, right? So most of us have been conditioned to blame our circumstances physically, actually, and now mentally, emotionally, on being a victim of your genetics, right?
Mm.
So this is a big one, right? Because
Mm.
the solution to you being a victim of your genetics is you have no control over it, but someone else will offer you control. And usually, in our paradigm that we live in, right, it's someone will offer you the solution in the form of a pill, a potion, an external solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because well, it's genetics, right? You don't have
Yeah.
you have no control over
Yeah. Poor you.
this thing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
so here is, and again, we're very conscious of this, keeping a foot in, trying to have a foot in both worlds, right? There are certain situations and settings where that might be valuable, right?
Yeah.
But that then takes your power away because you're putting faith in something else other than you, right? You're a victim. Oh, this
Well,
just happens to you.
and case in point, it makes it a bunch easier because you don't have to take
You
responsibility.
don't have to take responsibility. You can give that to someone else. So it
Yeah.
takes your power away,
It's not
right?
my fault.
It's not my fault, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to be honest with myself and say, "Ooh, the way I've been living has contributed
Right.
to the expression of these genes." That's that's one of the big things because, you know, what we do see though, right? I guess if you can reframe that for people and change the perception is, you know, you have genetic tendencies, but these tendencies can express themselves based on your environment and how
That's
you
correct. Yeah.
choose to live, right?
It's like you need the right formula to foster that and
Yeah.
actually have it express itself, right?
Yeah.
So gene expression is going to happen when it's in the right environment. Like even Dr. Lipton, writing about the biology of belief, which is like God, it feels like I've been saying 40 years ago for a long time now, but it's got to be up past 50 now, I would think. He did research on that and showing that the genetic expression in different environments gave different results. So
Yep.
like,
You can see twins, identical
yep,
twins, separated at birth, um, experiencing complete, and someone would say, but their genetic materials, it's identical, right?
yep,
And yet they express completely different
hmm,
physical, mental, emotional outcomes, right?
yeah,
Separated at birth based on their environment, right? How they were raised, then their quote unquote resiliency to how they were raised, did this challenge, did they work through this challenge, or did they kind of like succumb to the challenge, right?
hmm,
And it's so fascinating, um, story and story. Like there are so many cases and studies out there demonstrating this phenomenon, right? And how much power you as an individual have on, again, I guess it's like the symbiotic relationship that you have with your environment, right? Internal and external, right?
yeah.
So like it's the ebb and
Well,
flow.
it's big, but it really boils down to like, is your external world dictating how you feel, or is how you're feeling creating your external world?
Yeah.
So like it's a very important question to ask yourself, because if you're constantly the victim of like, well, yeah, but this happened and that happened and that's why I'm, well, why can't you be like working on like how you're feeling and having an impact on what's happening on the outside of you. This is, it's a this is where I wanted to segue into, is like, well, why is it then that it's so difficult for people to do this? It's
Takes work.
because change is agonizing.
Yeah.
It's painful going through any change. You look at anything in nature, going through a metamorphosis of anything is a struggle,
Yeah.
right? So the the basic human need is to be comfortable,
Hmm.
and we're very comfortable in the society we live in right now. So getting uncomfortable and moving towards something different, teaching your nervous system, okay, no, I don't want to live like this anymore. Even though what's crazy is quite often the paradigm they're living in is awful, or just stressful and not fun,
Hmm.
but they'd rather be there because it's known.
It's familiar.
It's not It's not exactly. It's familiar, and they're comfortable in their misery as opposed to moving into something that you might not you will feel
Yeah.
better, but your nervous system isn't used to that, so it wants to revert back to where it's the known. The going into the unknown is very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. How often have you, you know, in we're parents now, so we probably see this with our kids, right? You can see it with your kids and sometimes the relationships they're in, right? Or maybe you've been in a relationship and again, perception, right? So initially, I've heard of this analogy, it makes so much sense, you know, when things are new and exciting, you might have these rose-colored glasses that you see the world through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you might have those on for a while and others around you don't have those rose-colored glasses on and they can see things that you can't see because your perception's different, right?
Yeah.
So they might know that this person isn't the right one for you and you're not the right one for this person, right? Because these things go both ways, but you can't see it. And
Yeah.
then you might go through a painful breakup and then you might get out of said relationship and later, you know, as those rose-colored glasses start to fade, right, or
Yeah.
they change, your perception changes. Now your viewpoint changes because you're no longer in it, right?
That's
You can
right.
see something different, a different angle, and you start to go, "Oh yeah,
How did I do that?
why? What did I see in that situation or that relationship?" You know, and
Well,
what?
and case in point
Yeah,
is if you didn't go through the experience,
you wouldn't know.
you would never know that.
Yeah,
So that's the comforting thing too, is knowing that life's always kind of supporting us to make us realize things and to
yeah.
move us in this progressive way into some evolution, like it. So eh,
And if you're faced with that another time, you might be able to see it
yes,
sooner. You might not, because you might have more
right.
learning to do, right?
Hmm.
But again, it's like that's where we're coming back to. It's like for whatever reason, you're being presented these situations to hopefully learn something,
Hmm.
hopefully evolve and move on and grow, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the point of this podcast is it's like, you know, the sooner you can realize that and say, "Huh, okay,
Yeah.
got me, you know,
Yeah.
got me again. I can learn, I can grow, I can grow."
That's right.
Not harbor, right? Not bury down deep, you know, like you say, resentment or guilt for having lived that experience, right? And actually say, okay, you know,
Yep.
I'm better for having lived that. You know, I will be aware of those signs sooner, right? I'll recognize them in myself or I'll recognize them in someone else and I'll actively choose something else. There you go. It's like then
Conscious.
now you have the knowledge of what you didn't like or didn't
Yep.
and you can choose something different. So that's an example, but that example you can take into any aspect of life, right?
Yep.
Any aspect of even the, you know, it's really hard to think that, you know, you have control over how your physiology and how like Kevin says how your nervous system expresses itself,
Hmm.
right? And you know,
But when you just look at simple examples, like when things are going badly and you're going through, because life is always peaks and valleys. So you're going through these different. It's not like you're going to reach a point where everything's amazing.
no.
But what can happen is what can be more amazing is how you navigate through it. There's going to be peaks and valleys. When you're in those valleys where things are a bit lower,
Lower,
pay attention.
heavier, yeah.
What do you feel like? Like you probably don't feel well. You probably feel tired. You probably feel heavy. Uh, a lot of maybe more aching and stiffness in the body. Like you don't sleep as well. All these things.
Again, language, right?
Yeah,
Depression, right?
that's right.
Depression. What does that word mean, right?
Then the opposite is true when you're riding high, right? Like
Hmm.
your things are going well, you feel a lot lighter, you're a lot happier. You're like, all these things are better. Well, why? It's because basically your vibration is different. So the more you start to recognize it and say like, okay, now it's a point in maybe in this existence where there's a bit of a low. Well, what can I do
To
to
support.
to support that and know and start paying more attention to myself to make sure that I support that and not allow myself to go even deeper into that valley, right?
Hmm.
So, like you were alluding to before, like that's kind of like that awareness game of knowing, one, being vigilant and more conscious of like where you're at, and what's going on, and oh, maybe I do need a little bit more time for myself and or some resetting to kind of help that. And most of it again has to do with corrective behavior. You know, like you're you're like you said before, being aware of like, ah, you know what, I'm falling into that pattern again.
Habits and
I'm
patterns.
talking badly to myself. I'm doing this. I'm viewing life in a particular way. And oh yeah, all right, okay. So I need to be aware of it. Stop, shift into, well, what is the way I would want it to be?
Hmm.
So you know that is the game. Having the foresight to take that time to be like, oh wait, I'm falling back into this. Let's correct this. Boom.
Hmm.
But in order to do that, how do you like feed the new thing? Because
Yeah.
your nervous system is going to be like, yeah, nice try, but I like this. I feel
Yeah.
safe over here. I don't
Yeah.
want to go over there. I
Even
don't
though the
care how.
safety might
Yeah,
be like,
a
might be
hundred times better.
deleterious
Yeah,
to your, your situation or your, the current state you're in, right?
yeah.
It might feel, it is funny, that it would cause such a, an
Hesitation. Yeah.
uncomfortable, yeah, and everyone experiences it at multiple times in life, in
Yeah.
couple, some you can experience it a couple times in the same day, right? So it is perfectly normal to, you know, to feel, right? To feel the, I guess, like a sense of fear in change, right? And to, yeah, it's funny, right? Because you just said it, like habits and patterns,
Mm.
we are, things happen, most of things, and even like as Kevin will allude to, even some of the shit happens once in a while. Like we could probably even extrapolate beyond and say, yeah, we're still creating that stuff, right? You're still creating the, the twisted ankle once in a while, which is
It's like when we used to give that analogy of like, the old radio dial, right? You know, you want to listen to rock, but you have it tuned to jazz. Like, you're not going to hear rock
no,
until you change your tune,
yeah,
and change the station. You're going to hear the same thing. So it's not that you're wanting it. It's like you're just what you're putting out there is attracting this type of vibration.
yeah.
So it's basic physics, like
So
it's
let's look at, actually, as just
yeah,
a simple way of changing vibration. So let's
yeah,
say someone comes in to see us with a shoulder problem, right? So the first question, Kevin and I will ask them, well, what do you think you're doing or not doing actually to contribute to this? Did this
hmm
happen? You know, do some detective work, be your own best doctor, and think deeply for a second and say, what do you think is contributing to this, right? And usually people, when you give them the chance, they're like, oh, okay, yeah,
mm,
well, it's this, right? So I've been doing this for a while, or I've neglected that, or you know,
yep,
you know, and for most of us, right? Initially, we're going to associate it something physical, right? Well, my posture at work, or someone bumped into me, or right, or so that's the best place to start, right? It's be your own doctor, listen, ask questions. How have I been living? What have I been
yeah.
doing, right? This is what we kind of say. It's like, take ownership. What have I been doing, or not doing for that matter, that could be contributing to the situation? Like,
More importantly, what state are you doing it in?
okay, well, this is the next level, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
because people would say that all the time. I'm doing all the right things, and I'm stretching, and I'm doing all this stuff, and it's just not budging. It's like, yeah,
yes,
but and then meanwhile their nervous system is firing on all cylinders because they're just super stressed. So
stressed about the outcome, right?
yeah, so
Stressed.
it's key to realize, okay, well, okay, it's the state I'm in, my nervous system's in, that's actually having an impact on the outcome that I want. Like,
Yes.
so how do we practice that? How do we practice changing our state? Well, some of which is like we said, is some of the awareness game stuff, and then it's the practical application of like teaching your nervous system. Like, how do we teach your nervous system to calm down and get used to a different state? Well, it's practice. You can do it through breath work. You can do it through meditation. You can do it through, going through more outdoor stuff like walks and things like that to bring you back to being more grounded. You know, like it.
Yeah,
There's so
changing
many.
your environment.
Yeah, there's so many different things you can do to kind of reset that the more you start to get deep dive into what you enjoy doing and what helps you the most, well then that helps. But you have to create a change. Oh, excuse me. You have to create a change in what you're doing in order to see an impact, because otherwise it's the same thing is going to repeat itself over and over again. It's the
Yes. Yeah.
definition of insanity, right? So,
And
um, yeah. So that.
and for some people it's different, right? Some people it's gonna be there's gonna be a moment in time where they're like, it can be when shit really hits the fan. You can get a terrible diagnosis, and then finally they're like, oh, okay, I have to, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that. That's in talking about these things, you can notice.
Prevention. Yeah.
Yeah, you can notice that you're saying, okay, well, I have a complete control over where I choose to drive this thing,
Mm.
this car that I've been given, or this life that I've been given. And the sooner you realize that, you don't have to wait for one of those like oh shit moments in life
Yeah.
where your back's up against the wall, and then you're forced. And again, we were talking about this last. For some people, they have to go through that, right?
Yep.
Another really cool way of changing the paradigm in how you view things is someone once said this, like that whatever you're dealing with, right? Let's just say pain, for example. Well, pain can be a teacher, right? So, what is this pain that you're experiencing? Because oftentimes people come to see us because of pain or
Hmm.
discomfort or dysfunction, right? Something's not working physically is why they first come to see. But then, as we explain to how the world works, and that you're living and perceiving on multiple levels, right? The mental, emotional, and the physical. They start to, and they understand this paradigm, then they can say, okay, well, what is this? What is this event I'm living? What can it teach me about how I've been living? And what can I do? And that's, I think, the most important thing. It's like coming up with a plan from within, guided by how we can help frame and shape things, right?
Hmm.
But that you're comfortable with
Yeah.
in your like you say, in your process of evolution, right? And
Yep.
how you're going to rehabilitate your environment and potentially your shoulder, coming back to that analogy, right? But what can you learn from the state or the situation you've put yourself in, right?
Yep.
And I think that's the most important thing. What can it teach you?
Yeah, and then as you do it, then quite often that's what you see people that really put the effort in and the work in, is they then start to see some of those changes in their environment. So that starts to encourage them to keep going, and then the feeling starts to grow. So it creates a snowball effect for sure, just like it did the other way. It's just we weren't conscious that that was happening, right? So, um, yeah, this is this is such an asset to staying in balance, that and finding your alignment. Like how do you tick, and what do you need to contribute to this place? So that's it. So
Well,
that's
that's
our.
that's the tip of the iceberg with
Yeah, yeah. Well,
perception.
this will definitely be probably
Yeah.
the beginning of many talks on this type of stuff. But
So if you've had a few insights, great. If
yep,
you're even more confused with what we just covered, don't worry.
we'll see you
You
next time.
we'll see you next
Keep
time.
keep confusing.
But yeah, perception is reality, and yeah, just think on that for a bit, and that's a great place to start. And
Great
just
place to start. Is we'll focus on
yeah,
one main thing that people do is their self talk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Self-talk.
Start paying attention to how you talk to yourself and see what the what the consensus is there.
Yep.
Yeah,
The inner roommate, as some call it. So yeah,
yeah,
listen to that person inside and say, "Ooh, I didn't realize
yeah.
that they were, that they were so nice or so mean."
Exactly.
Anyways, thanks again for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Jason, when you listen to this episode, we're sorry. We love you, and
We'll explain it to you.
yeah, we'll explain. We'll explain it to you a little later.
Cole's notes.
Have a wonderful week, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Vitality check.
Ciao.